For almost 2 decades, football has been divided into two camps, Team Messi and Team Ronaldo. And if you spend enough time online, you'll eventually come across one claim over and over again. Cristiano Ronaldo hates Lionel Messi. But is that actually true, or is it one of football's biggest myths? To understand why millions of people genuinely believe there is deep, personal hatred between these two, we have to look at the sheer scale of what they built. We aren't just talking about two great players playing in the same era. We are talking about a 15-year war for total football supremacy. Year after year, the Ballon d'Or wasn't a debate about who the best player in the world was. It was a binary choice between two men. If Messi won, Ronaldo felt the blow. If Ronaldo lifted the Champions League, Messi's achievements were minimized. They weren't just playing against 22 men on a pitch, they were playing against each other's legacies in real time. When Ronaldo moved to Real Madrid in 2009, this rivalry didn't just grow, it became institutionalized. It was baked into the fabric of the biggest, most toxic, most passionate fixture in club football, El Clásico. Real Madrid versus Barcelona, Catalonia versus the Spanish capital. Two entirely different philosophies of football represented by two completely different human beings. Messi, the quiet, naturally gifted genius who looked like he barely belonged on a football pitch until the ball touched his feet. Ronaldo, the sculpted, hyper-athletic, relentless machine who willed himself to perfection through sheer obsession. The media didn't even have to try to create a narrative. The contrast was already perfect. It was a ready-made Hollywood script, and every weekend fans tuned in to watch them trade blows. But as the years went on, a strange shift happened. The rivalry stopped belonging just to the players and the clubs. It was hijacked by the fans. Internet culture turned the Messi versus Ronaldo debate into an ideological war. If you praised Ronaldo's work ethic, Messi fans called you a casual who didn't understand the beauty of the game. If you marveled at Messi's dribbling, Ronaldo fans flooded your comments with clips of penalties and Champions League trophies. The fan bases became incredibly tribal, and when you are that deep in a trench, you don't just want your guy to win, you want the other guy to fail, and more importantly, you want to believe your guy hates the opposition just as much as you do. This is exactly where the theory of Ronaldo's hatred was born. Fans started looking for clues. Every single interaction, every blink of an eye, every press conference was analyzed like a crime scene, and at first, some of this evidence looks incredibly convincing. Take a look at the award ceremonies from the early 2010s. There are dozens of compilations on YouTube with millions of views, tracking Ronaldo's face the exact moment Lionel Messi is announced as the Ballon d'Or winner. You see the jaw tighten. You see the forced smile that doesn't quite reach his eyes. You see him blinking rapidly, looking at the floor while the entire room applauds his rival. To the average fan, this was definitive proof. Was it hatred? Was it jealousy? Or was it simply the raw, unedited reaction of an elite competitor who genuinely, deeply loathes losing? Ronaldo has never hidden his obsession with being number one. To expect a man with that level of ego to sit front row and look genuinely ecstatic while his direct rival takes the crown he believes belongs to him is completely unrealistic. But the internet didn't see it that way. They saw a man bitter with resentment. Then came the media leaks and the rumors. In 2014, football journalist Guillem Balaguer dropped a bombshell in his book, claiming that Ronaldo had a highly offensive, unprintable nickname for Messi behind closed doors at Real Madrid, and that any Madrid player caught speaking to Messi would receive the same treatment. The story spread like wildfire. It perfectly confirmed what millions of fans already suspected. Cristiano Ronaldo couldn't even stand the mention of Messi's name. Ronaldo immediately issued a furious public denial, threatening to sue, stating he had the utmost respect for all his colleagues, and Messi was no exception. But here's the thing about the internet. The rumor always travels faster than the retraction. For many, the damage was done. The narrative was set in stone. But the real fuel for the fire came from the viral social media clips. Think back to those moments on the pitch during El Clásicos. Fans pointed to the body language. When Messi would drop deep to pick up the ball and Ronaldo would close him down, the intensity was terrifying. There were moments where Ronaldo would score a breathtaking goal, zoom in on his face, and he'd look directly toward the Barcelona bench or the crowd with an expression of pure, unadulterated defiance. There were clips of Ronaldo seemingly ignoring Messi in the tunnel before games, looking straight ahead, completely freezing out his rival while other players exchanged hugs and handshakes. And then there were the interviews. Every time a journalist asked Ronaldo about Messi, the body language shifted. He would smirk, or he would give a highly calculated answer, making sure to remind everyone of his own statistics. When Messi won an award, Ronaldo would drop a comment on social media or give an interview emphasizing that trophies and numbers don't lie. Fans screamed that this was proof of a deep-seated inferiority complex, a burning hatred for a man who possessed a natural talent Ronaldo had to bleed to match. But then another piece of evidence changes everything. Because if you pull back from the fan edits and the sensationalized headlines, you find a completely different story. You find a mountain of evidence that points directly in the opposite direction. Let's look at what actually happens when these two men talk about each other without a microphone shoved in their face during a post-match adrenaline rush. The most famous breakthrough in the public perception of their relationship happened at the 2019 UEFA Awards ceremony. They were seated right next to each other. The tension in the room was palpable, but as the cameras panned over, something unexpected happened. They were talking, they were laughing, and then Ronaldo took the microphone and spoke directly about their relationship. He said they had shared the stage for 15 years, that he didn't know if it had ever happened in football before, the same two guys on the same stage all the time. He admitted they hadn't had dinner together yet, but smiled and said he hoped they would in the future. He openly talked about how they pushed each other, saying that Messi pushed him, and he pushed Messi as well, and that it was great to be a part of football history. Messi sat right next to him, nodding and smiling genuinely. And that's where the story becomes complicated. If Ronaldo truly hated Messi, why would he say this? Why would he actively invite the idea of sitting down for dinner with him? Was it just a PR stunt, or was it the first time we saw these two men as elder statesmen of the game, finally free from the exhausting pressure of the Spanish media machine? The truth is, the praise went both ways. Messi has consistently called Ronaldo a phenomenal player, stating multiple times that any team would miss a player who scores 50 goals a season. When Ronaldo left Real Madrid for Juventus, Messi openly admitted that La Liga missed him, that the rivalry made the game special and raised the level of the entire league. Years later, we saw them come together for that iconic Louis Vuitton chess advertisement before the 2022 World Cup. It became one of the most liked images in internet history. Two titans staring down at a chessboard, embodying a relationship that was defined not by hatred, but by an intellectual, athletic stalemate. So how do we reconcile these two completely different realities? How can a rivalry look so bitter on the pitch and so respectful off it? To answer that, we have to look outside of football. Can two athletes fiercely compete at the highest level of human capability without hating each other? Look at tennis. Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal spent over a decade tearing each other apart on the court. They denied each other historic Grand Slams. They wept bitter tears of defeat in locker rooms because of one another, and yet they formed one of the deepest friendships in modern sports. Look at basketball in the 1980s. Magic Johnson and Larry Bird saved the NBA through a brutal coast-to-coast rivalry between the Lakers and the Celtics. Culturally, racially, and stylistically, they were polar opposites. The media framed it as a war. Fans thought they despised each other. But underneath the noise, there was a profound unspoken bond because nobody else on planet Earth understood the pressure they were under except for each other. Even Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna, a rivalry that actually did border on genuine animosity, eventually found a place of profound mutual respect before Senna's tragic passing. And this is the part most people ignore. Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi are isolated figures at the absolute peak of a multi-billion-dollar global industry. The pressure, the scrutiny, the isolation that comes with being that famous and that successful is something only two people in the history of football have ever experienced at that specific level simultaneously. They are the only two members of the most exclusive club in sports. It is highly likely that Ronaldo doesn't look at Messi with hatred, but with the profound recognition of a mirror. He knows that without Messi, he wouldn't have scored those 80-yard sprints or stayed up late training in an empty gym at 38 years old. Messi knows that without Ronaldo constantly breathing down his neck, scoring hat tricks in the Champions League, he might have coasted on his natural genius instead of constantly reinventing his game. But here's where things get interesting. Why did we as fans desperately need them to hate each other? Why did millions of people buy into the narrative of a personal blood feud? The answer lies in the psychology of fan culture. Sports are inherently tribal, but more than that, humans are storytelling creatures. We don't just want to watch a match, we want to watch a narrative. We want drama. A story about two exceptionally polite men who deeply respect each other's talent and quietly go about their business is boring. It doesn't generate clicks, it doesn't fuel debate shows, and it doesn't give you ammunition for an argument in a group chat. But a story about a relentless self-made machine fighting against a naturally gifted savior in a bitter personal feud, that is epic. That is mythology. We projected our own tribalism onto them. We took Ronaldo's natural, fiercely competitive grimaces and we translated them into hatred because it made the story more exciting. We needed a hero and we needed a villain, depending on which side of the fence we sat on. So when you see a clip of Cristiano Ronaldo looking frustrated after Lionel Messi scores, or when you read a headline claiming they can't stand to be in the same room, ask yourself, is it hatred? Is it jealousy? Or was it simply the most intense, unforgiving sporting rivalry of the modern era playing out through two human beings who refused to finish second? The reality of Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi is far grander than a simple story of dislike. They were two forces of nature trapped in a 15-year loop, pulling each other up to heights that football may never see again. They didn't need to be friends to respect what they were doing to the history books. And as their careers wind down in different corners of the world, away from the blinding lights of the European stage, the noise is finally starting to clear. What's left isn't a legacy of bitterness, but a realization that we watched a golden age created by two men who needed each other to become immortal. Do you think Ronaldo and Messi secretly disliked each other? Or do you think football fans created a rivalry that was bigger than reality?